So we all face it, right? Hardships, anxiety, just that general friction of daily life. It is a completely universal human experience. But in this explainer today, we are unpacking a really fascinating text that flips our usual script totally upside down. What if the way we try to fix our problems is just backward? What if the key to fixing everything on the outside actually lives entirely on the inside? That is exactly the journey we are taking today.
I want you to really think about this for a second. Why do our problems never truly go away? You know that deeply frustrating feeling? You face an obstacle, you put in all this effort to change the people around you, or you try to fix your environment, and sure, maybe you get a tiny moment of relief. But the results are almost never permanent, are they? The core issues just stubbornly stick around, popping up again and again in different disguises. Why exactly is that?
Okay, let's dive into Section 1, The Root of Suffering, where we examine the symptoms of our daily struggles.
To really get to the bottom of this, we have to look past the surface level. When things go wrong, what is our absolute default reaction? The source text nails it. We blame fate. We might even curse God. We get super annoyed with our family, our friends, the neighbors. We hold on to this intense anger toward our bosses or just our general circumstances. We literally exhaust ourselves trying to forcefully change these external things, completely convinced that, if they would just change, we would finally be happy.
But here is where it gets interesting. If you investigate this deeply, you realize those external circumstances you are constantly fighting, they don't actually have an independent existence. The text we are diving into argues that this idea that outside factors control our fate is a total illusion. The actual truth is that our external realities are just shadows, literally just shadows cast by our own internal state. Your inner life is the actual seed of your outer reality.
So let's look at Section 2, Leaves versus the Roots, and the illusion of surface-level fixes. Picture a dying, totally dried-out tree. If you want to bring that tree back to life, what do? If you just stand there spraying water on its dead, crispy leaves, absolutely nothing is going to happen, right? The source material makes this incredible point. Seeking temporary relief by attacking external problems is exactly like watering those dead leaves. It is never going to cure the actual disease. If you want a real fix, you have to dig down into the soil. You have to find the roots and apply the water and fertilizer down there, where it's hidden.
Just let this quote sink in for a second. Thoughts are seeds and circumstances are their fruits. According to the text, this is the foundational rule of the human experience. Your real life isn't what is happening to you on the outside. It is what is happening within you. Think about it like a garden. The exact type of seed you plant dictates exactly what kind of plant is going to sprout. In the same way, the internal desires and thoughts you cultivate directly determine the circumstances you are going to experience. We reap exactly what we sow in our own minds. It is absolutely crucial to understand that circumstances don't just randomly drop out of the sky. They are actively invited. For example, if you get dirt or mud on your clothes, what happens? Well, it naturally attracts flies. If there is rotting mud in a stagnant drain, it's inevitably going to breed worms. But if those same clothes are perfectly clean, no flies are going to come anywhere near them. It's the exact same with us. Our circumstances are quite literally drawn to us by our own internal cleanliness or our internal rot.
Moving right along to Section 3, Thoughts are the seeds. Let's see how desires shape our reality.
The text breaks down this very specific, almost mechanical cycle of suffering, and it all kicks off with desires. Basically, when our minds demand way too many things, and, as is bound to happen, we fail to get all of them, we get incredibly frustrated. And that frustration boils over. Desperate to fill that gap, we end up committing bad actions, or as the text calls them, sins. And the absolute guaranteed result of those bad actions? Sorrow. If we could just keep those initial demands and desires in check, so much of this sorrow would never even materialize. This brings up a brilliant point about the sheer power of what we focus our minds on, because our thoughts attract matching circumstances. The text uses a really fascinating contrast here. Think of a beggar whose absolute highest dream in life is just to get 2 kilos of flour. Well, they're going to remain a beggar. They will never be a king. But on the flip side, look at Napoleon. It was his immense, soaring, almost unbelievable ambition to be a grand military commander that literally created a conqueror. The external circumstances of their lives simply expanded to match the exact scale of their internal thoughts.
So I have to ask you directly, just based on what we've talked about so far. Think about the friction in your own life right this minute. Are you truly actually angry at your boss or the neighbors who seem to be constantly pushing your buttons? Or, if you look really, really closely, are you actually just fighting your own hidden flaws? If people are acting as your opponents, the text essentially begs us to stop fighting them one by one and instead look inward to figure out which of our own negative traits actually turn them against us in the first place.
Okay, Section 4, Building Inner Strength, taking radical responsibility for our lives.
Once it clicks that the external world is really just a mirror, we can completely stop playing the victim and start building actual inner strength. Instead of cursing an employer who won't hire you, the text says, look inward. Develop irresistible, highly valuable skills so that people are literally inviting you everywhere you go. Instead of constantly bickering with neighbors, drop the bitter speech, stop unnecessarily interfering in other people's drama, and ditch those negative habits. Build up a genuinely good character. And hey, if false rumors are spreading about you, don't waste energy raging at the crowd, just use your own calm truthfulness to prove your innocence. You upgrade the outside by upgrading the inside.
Now, let's talk about one very specific internal flaw: fear. A lot of the time, we just think of fear as an uncomfortable feeling, right? But the text defines it as a deep internal weakness that actively invites trouble. Think about it. When you're fearful, when you panic at the slightest thing, you are literally giving a green light to abusers and tyrants to oppress you. But reverse that. Those who are naturally fearless, who just boldly stare down every difficulty, they make those exact same oppressors hesitate and back right down.
To really drive home just how powerful this internal state is, the text uses this incredibly striking image. The edge of a sword bends before courage. I mean, wow. Immense internal bravery is so incredibly potent that it can overcome even the absolute sharpest, most dangerous external threats. When your internal resolve is forged out of solid steel, the external weapons formed against you, they just bend and break.
And that brings us to Section 5, the path to permanent peace, the ultimate tonic for a fulfilling life.
Think about literally anyone who has achieved something great. Whether your goal is to accumulate immense wealth or you want the incredible physical strength of a pro wrestler, a casual interest just isn't going to cut it. It requires absolute, undivided internal focus. You need this intense, burning desire. If your mind isn't 100% concentrated on the means of building that wealth or building that muscle, you simply are not going to achieve it. The internal drive has to be absolute.
Let's say you find yourself in a massive crisis. A lot of us might think, oh, I need a huge network of people to save me. But the text makes it crystal clear. Having 20 friends gathered around you cannot give you even a fraction of the help in a moment of crisis that your own self-confidence can. When sickness strikes or a total disaster hits, it is your internal strength, your hope, and your rock-solid belief in a good future that will actually pull you out of the fire.
In ancient mythology, there's this legendary life-giving herb called the Sanjivani Booty. It's this miraculous tonic that's supposedly able to revive the dead and make old people feel young again. Well, the text makes a massive declaration here. True self-reliance is the real-world Sanjivani Booty. There is absolutely no other tonic ever invented that even comes close to the life-giving, rejuvenating power of just relying on yourself. It is the ultimate, undefeated cure for all our external woes.
So the whole takeaway boils down to this practical blueprint for permanent peace. If you're unhappy with your life, stop exhausting yourself trying to fix the outside. Step 1, look deeply inward. Step 2, ruthlessly weed out those bad habits and dark desires. Step 3, actively increase your willpower, your inner firmness, and your self-reliance. And once you clear that path, well, step 4 is basically inevitable. You will absolutely sprint forward on the path of progress because you're finally treating the root, not just the symptoms. I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought to carry with you today. If your life is a tree and your thoughts are the seeds, what kind of seeds are you planting right now? Are they seeds of bitterness and fear, or are they seeds of courage and self-reliance? Always remember, your external world is really nothing more than a shadow of your internal reality. Take control of the roots, and the leaves will take care of themselves. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I truly hope this helps empower you to cultivate your own lasting inner peace.